Good morning, staff, students, and our new parents and our newest members of the Nudgee College community. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to Nudgee College. While this morning may be filled with lots of information that you'll likely forget half of, I hope that throughout the morning, both parents and students are able to make connections with other parents, staff, and really importantly, for our newest Nudgee men, connections with your fellow Nudgee brothers. In a moment, I will hand over to our 2026 college captain for an official welcome and prayer, and then our principal will address you too. After that, our boys will head off either to the junior school or with their house deans into their house areas. Parents, you will stay here and listen to some key messages from a number of staff, and you'll have an opportunity to engage with the specialist areas at the back of the conference centre. Before I hand over to Ethan, when we gather as a college for a formal occasion, we always begin by acknowledging the country on which we meet. So I welcome Year 11 student Talis Maloney for acknowledgement of country.
Nudgee College acknowledges the Turrbal people of Meanjin, First Nations people and part of the oldest living continuing culture in the world. They are the traditional custodians of these lands and waterways, which they call Numuji and Nada, and we call Nudgee. We acknowledge their ancient customs and the law of the land. We pay our respects and acknowledge ancestors, elders, and communities across this nation and neighbouring islands.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your college captain for 2026, Ethan Andrews.
In voice and in action, in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. O God of justice and compassion, we place before you our needs as members of St. Joseph's Nudgee College. Nourish and inspire us to live justly. Guide us to be faithful to the vision of Edmund Rice, who showed a deep love for the poor and marginalised. Open our hearts and minds to accept and welcome all into our community. May we work together to build a better world and seek to live lives of love and service, justice and peace, to be signs of faith to all. St. Joseph, pray for us. St. Mary of the Cross, pray for us. Blessed Edmund Rice, live Jesus in our hearts. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Good morning, CLT, teachers, parents, and most importantly, the future men of Nudgee College. My name is Ethan Andrews, and I have the honour of serving you as your college captain for 2026. It gives me great pleasure to welcome all of you, our new students and families, to our extraordinary community here at St. Joseph's Nudgee College. Our school is a place where you'll be challenged, where you'll grow, and where you'll make lifelong friendships. From day one, you'll be surrounded by boys who are in the exact same boat as you, all figuring it out together. But you won't just rely on your year level. You'll have big brothers who check in on you, making sure you're settling in, and remind you that at Nudgee, no one gets left behind. As a Catholic community, Nudgee men are called to live with faith, to serve others and to bring our best in every area of life. We pride ourselves on striving for excellence in the classroom, in sport, in the arts, and in service. And as you will see, the truth is there's a place here for everyone. No matter what you're good at or what you're passionate about, you'll find your spot and you'll find your brothers. At this college, you'll hear about the golden ticket. And what that really means is opportunity. The opportunity to learn, to serve, to lead, to compete, and to grow. When Brother Patrick Ambrose Tracy established Nudgee College 134 years ago, he hoped for a school that provides these values of faith, formation, and opportunity. But a golden ticket only works if you use it. So when you arrive, don't sit back and watch. Jump in, say yes, back yourself, and back your mates. The more you put into Nudgee, the more you will get out of it. Your first day might feel overwhelming. That's normal. I remember my first day after only being in Brisbane for a matter of days, entering the gates of a much larger community. Yes, I was overwhelmed, but as you boys will learn, from day one you'll have teachers, big brothers and Year 12 leaders, all backing and supporting you every step of the way. That's the power of this place. No one ever walks alone. So welcome to Nudgee. Get ready for the friendships, the spirit, the challenges and the moments that will stay with you long after you leave these gates. All of your journeys are about to begin, and I can't wait to see the man you become. But most importantly, boys, the first step in your Nudgee journey starts today. And it's as simple as turning to your parents and saying thank you for giving you this amazing opportunity. Thank you.
Good morning and a very warm welcome on this incredibly exciting day for so many. We have over 200 young men who are starting their Nudgee journey here. Ethan, well done. That's Ethan's first address in public since he was elected as college captain, and I think he did a wonderful job and probably deserves another round of applause. So well done, Ethan. To the new young men starting their Nudgee journey, this is the commencement of a very significant journey in your life. And to your parents and families, I want to acknowledge what a wise choice you've made in sending your sons to Nudgee College. Choosing a school is never easy, but here you've chosen not a place of learning, but a community that will walk with your son in every step of the way. I would like to acknowledge our Year 6 gentlemen who will be commencing their secondary education next year. Whilst we are one school at Nudgee, it's important to acknowledge the 145 boys who will be joined on their Nudgee journey by 80 new Nudgee brothers in Year 7 next year. Your role, Nudgee men, is to ensure that our newest members of the school feel the warmth of welcome and that they belong. The task I set before you begins today. Thank you to our Year 11 students and all of the staff, the many, many staff who are present here to make this very important day a memorable one. As you would know, around the state we have a student-free day, so to see so many of our Year 11 students here giving up that day is greatly appreciated and a testament to the affection and commitment our students have to this great school. Nudgee is a Catholic community in the Edmund Rice tradition and one that shapes everything that we do. It means we're committed to nurturing your son's mind, his heart and his spirit. It means that he will be part of a community that values compassion, justice, and as Ethan said, service to others. These aren't just words we put on banners. They are lived in our classrooms, on the performance stage, on our playing fields, in our liturgies, and in the way that we treat each other every single day. Your son will be challenged to strive for excellence in his studies, to test himself in the arts, sport, and other pursuits, and to discover his gifts as a leader. But more importantly, he will be encouraged to grow into a young man who lives with integrity, who shows kindness, and who seeks to make a difference in our world. As a Catholic community, we believe each boy is created in the image and likeness of God, unique, gifted, and full of possibility. Our job, working in partnership with you as parents, is to help him uncover those gifts and to grow into the man he's called to be. Finally, I share with you this beautiful image, taken only just on Saturday gone, at our senior old boys reunion. In the image, you see two wonderful mates who are in their late 80s, gazing across the beautiful Ross Oval, where today's proceedings will conclude, and reminiscing of a time they shared at Nudgee. This hopefully provides you with a crystal ball moment for your soon-to-be Nudgee son. The young, soon-to-be graduating Terry White and Barry Hickey, who you see in the photo, back in 1954, could not have imagined the life they would have led and the legacies they would have created. They continue to return to Nudgee because they attribute their success to the school they love and the brothers they made during their time at this incredible school. So welcome again to Nudgee College. Today is just the beginning of what I know will be a rich and rewarding journey for your son and for your family. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Okay, so gentlemen, you are now going to leave with your big brothers, your PC tutors, and your house deans. So we'll try and do this in an orderly fashion. So our Year 5 students from each house will head off together to the junior school with their junior school big brothers. So could I ask all junior school big brothers to collect up your grade 5 little brothers and make your way to the O'Neill Undercroft, please. Okay, the remainder of our Year 7 to 11 new students will head off to their house areas when I dismiss you house at a time. The house areas will hopefully be on the screens, but our big brothers know where they are heading, and you'll head off with your PC tutors and your house deans. So let's start with Barrett House with Mr. Kelly, who are heading to Ryan Hall. So if Barrett House would like to leave. And let's have Duggan House. So Duggan House, you are heading to the level 1 Tracy classrooms. And McGee House, you are heading to the Learning Centre. And Fogarty House, you are heading with Mr. Adams to Tierney Auditorium, Wilkes Oval entrance, please. Riley House to the marquee with Mr. O'Sullivan. And McKenna House with Mr. Andrews heading to the Level 2 Tracy classrooms. Shaw House with Miss Mann heading to Teeny Auditorium poolside entrance. And Ross House with Miss Beecham heading to the McHenry Centre. And then finally, Teeny House with Mr. Campbell heading to what seems like the funnest location, the clubhouse. And parents, as your sons are leaving, could I ask that you all make your way closer to the front, please? If we could start filling up the front sections, that would be wonderful. So Ross House and Teeny House parents and Shaw House parents, if we could move forward a little bit, that would be wonderful. Thank you. I don't think we've had a more compliant and quiet group of people. There's plenty of seats at the front here, both sides, for parents. Just like the boys who don't want to sit at the front, there are definitely seats at the front. It's the best spot. It gives us great pleasure to welcome you all to Nudgee College. I hope that this morning you feel a real sense of community. We place such great value on the relationship between parents and staff, and I cannot impress upon you how important that connection is in supporting your beautiful sons through their Nudgee journey. Our hope for you is that you really immerse yourselves into the community, be very engaged in your son's education and formation. Before we begin, I want to point out that our orientation is a two-stage process. Today is really focused on building relationships. The boys will spend time connecting with each other, their big brothers, PC tutors, and house dean. Likewise, our hope for our new parents is that you start building some relationships with other parents and staff. Our very first day back in January is a day focused on our newest members of the college. Our new students and just our Year 12s will be present on campus on that day. This day allows for a gentler introduction to Nudgee without 1,700 boys present. This day is a continuation of building on those relationships, but with a more operational focus. Your sons will meet the majority of their teachers, visit their classrooms, be supported in finding their way around the college, and understand their timetables, etc. So when you have conversations with your sons this afternoon, hopefully he is able to tell you the key people he has met and about the relationships he has started to build. It gives me great pleasure to introduce some key people who will share a little bit about their respective areas. Mr. Matt Waugh, our Dean of Identity, will speak to the mission and faith aspects of the college. Mrs. Susie Chin will discuss all things learning and teaching. Before handing over to Mr. Hughes and Miss Barrett, our Directors of Students for grades 7 to 9 and 10 to 12, who will discuss our formation space And then finally, Mr. Sam Smith, the Director of Arts, will share with you information about our arts programme. Ordinarily, our Director of Sport, Mr. Jamie Pybus, would also address you, but he's currently in the UK fostering our soccer connection with Tottenham Hotspurs. So in his absence, if you would like to get any information regarding the many sporting activities on offer here at Nudgee, during the break, you'll have an opportunity to visit the activities stand at the back of the room. Once you've heard from all of these people, we'll break for morning tea, and then there'll be an additional opportunity for you to connect with other staff, parents, and visit all of the specialist areas at the back of the room. So please welcome Mr. Matt Waugh, our Dean of Mission and Identity.
Thank you, Lindsay, and good morning, parents. I can certainly empathise with how you're feeling now in that I too am a Nudgee parent. My son started this year in his first year at the college as a Year 9 boy. So I was very fortunate and blessed to be offered the position to work at Nudgee, and I commenced this year. So with me coming over here, I thought, well, I understand what a phenomenal place this is. If it's good enough for me, it's 100% good enough for my child as well. So he came in. So I just wanted to share a little bit of his story, if you will, just so you get a little bit of understanding from a new parent what it was like for my new son. So he started in Year 9, which is obviously a non-traditional entry year. And I remember talking to him on the very first day, which for him was in January because he was a relatively late enrolment. And I picked Charles up from school. Obviously I was here, so it wasn't a big trip to do so. And I said, "How was your first day, mate?" And he said, "Oh, it wasn't great." I said, "Why wasn't it great?" And he said, "Well, every other kid here is only in Year 5 and Year 7. I said, "Okay, mate, tomorrow the Year 9s will come. Let's just work with me here, mate. We haven't made a huge mistake. It'll be all right." So the next day, again, I saw him at school and throughout the day, and then at the end of the day, I said, "Charles, how was your day?" He said, "Oh my goodness, I absolutely love it here." And frequently, one of the biggest blessings of being at the same school and working at the same school where my son attends is to have those car conversations each morning and each afternoon. And only a couple of weeks ago, with no prompting from me, he just said to me, "Dad, I so much prefer my Nudgee mates from my previous school's mates." And that's absolutely nothing against his previous school. I couldn't speak highly enough of the place. But I'm ensuring and guaranteeing you as parents, you have made the right decision. And a very brief testimonial I can give on that is that Scott Thompson, the college principal, has 2 boys here. Susie Chin, our Dean of Learning and Teaching, has a boy here. Our business manager has a son here. Scott's PA has a son here. And as teachers, if we didn't think this was a school that was absolutely doing the right thing for our students, our sons, your sons, they wouldn't be here. So just to give you that little introduction, if you will, it's not necessarily to do with my job, but I just wanted to throw it out there. Ladies and gentlemen, my job as Dean of Mission and Identity is to try to bring the Catholic life of our college to life. And how do we do that for when many boys, their experience of church or religious education is not necessarily significant? For many boys, the idea of what church might be is almost irrelevant in their I world that they're living. Their iPhone, their iWatch, the generation of T20 cricket when everything must come right now and very, very quickly. How do we make a text of 2,000 years ago have some sense of relevance to your sons? The way that that's done here at Nudgee, as it is at 55 other schools around Australia who identify as Edmund Rice Education Australia, or EREA schools, is to bring that story to life through 4 different touchstones. And it doesn't matter if you're at Nudgee or if you're at one of those other 55 schools, these 4 touchstones should be prevalent in your son's education. Now, obviously, those other 55 inferior institutions won't do them as well as what we do, but I just wanted to try and unpack for you what that means so you would have a deeper understanding of it this afternoon. The first touchstone that I'd like to talk to is this idea of gospel spirituality. Now, that does not mean that we need your sons to be able to say the Our Father prayer in Latin, or that it is essential that he goes to Mass every single day, or anything like that. All right, yes, your sons will participate in a religious education curriculum, but I can tell you as a teacher of religious education, that's very much about how to make that a part of your life and your values as to what it is entirely based on the doctrine and dogma of the Catholic Church from 2,000 years ago. Religious education and how we do it at Nudgee is to try and make your son a kinder, more generous, more loving person. So you'll note on the image here that you can see one idea of gospel spirituality is trying to make it contextual. trying to make it relevant to the boys. So we focus on values. Earlier this year, when we had our college Anzac Day liturgy, it was a combination of both the secular and the sacred, where we spoke to the boys about those Anzac values of mateship and courage and camaraderie, but also wove it into the grace that God's given us to have freedom, to have the capacity to be who we want. And that setting there for Anzac Day, I would very much doubt that there would be many places in Australia, let alone at schools, that would have something as poignant and significant of the crosses of all those nudgy old boys who have passed away in war, to have the last post bellowing across Ross Oval, to have every student sitting in that grandstand listening to a combination of diggers and priests and laying of the wreaths. It's a case of trying to bring together the values of Catholicism in with the values that your sons need to succeed in 2026 and beyond. So that's how we do gospel spirituality. We bring it to life, we make it about the values, we try to make your sons better people. The second touchstone that we're called to address at Nudgee College is inclusive community. And I can hand on heart say that in my opinion, there would be very, very few schools around Australia that do inclusive community as genuinely or authentically as what Nudgee does. And we're very blessed to have a phenomenal boarding facility and set up at Nudgee where more than 320 students don't just call Nudgee their school, but they call it their home. And with boarding, there comes an unbelievable gift of diversity, where boys are coming not just from all around Queensland, from all around Australia, but from all around the world to live here. It's an incredibly inclusive place because of the multiculturalism, the farmers and their perspectives on things. I teach Year 7 geography, and having boys who can sit in the classroom and actively talk about droughts and the impact that has on their family really opens boys up to what it is to be privileged to be living in a capital city. So the idea of being inclusive. There are families here with an entirely broad range of socioeconomic backgrounds. There are boys here who have spent their whole life living in the bush, and now here they are today. But most importantly around the idea of inclusive community, and you may see the image here, is that the interests and talents of Nudgee boys is so incredibly diverse. Our sporting program gets a massive rap, as it ought to, across the news forums of Brisbane every single day. But what didn't draw anywhere near as much attention was our college musical this year, The Wiz. And The Wiz for me is probably in my top 3 moments as a staff member this year at Nudgee, to sit in Tierney Auditorium and watch some of our boys who the Courier Mail never write about be in their absolute ideal environment was a real gift to be a part of. So it doesn't matter if your son has aspirations to play for the Wallabies, to play for the Socceroos, or to appear in a musical, your son is going to thrive here because of the inclusivity that Nudgee College offers. Building on that idea of every boy having different gifts and talents is the third touchstone, the one of a liberating education. And we are called to provide an education which allows your son to give his personal best. It doesn't matter if he wants to be a barrister or a bricklayer, or a labourer or a lawyer, or an athlete or an architect. I can guarantee you through the broad range of pathways that Nudgee offers, your son will be able to be the best version of him. And that will go across both theoretical subjects, such as traditional ones as English and maths, but also revolutionary dynamic subjects that are teaching boys about AI and using 3D printers and laser cutters and doing science experiments and engineering projects which are real world based. So we're called to ensure that your son is being set up for success for whatever that looks like for him. And again, as a parent and staff member here, I'm incredibly comfortable that that happens every single day. The fourth and final touchstone that I'd like to talk to you about today is the one of justice and solidarity. And that's the idea around the transformation of your son's heart to try and make him an even better person that will make a difference to the world, both whilst within the gates and moreover once they leave it. We talk about the idea of macro and micro service. Macro service being those big ticket things that boys can sign up for. A Tuesday morning breakfast service in the valley for people that live on the streets of Brisbane, or working at Aspley Special School and doing sports programs with boys on Thursday afternoon. That happens each and every week, even during school holidays at Nudgee College. Next week, every boy in our Year 9 cohort will travel to different parts of the globe to spend 1 week immersing themselves in people that have an entirely different reality for them, to give them a sense of perspective and gratitude. So that's macro. It's big ticket stuff that they can take photos of. But more importantly at Nudgee is the micro service, the culture of kindness as I've referred to it this year. The things you do when no one's looking to make other people's lives better. And there are some different examples of this justice and solidarity or service on the screen now. The first image I love is some of our Year 5 boys this year where one of them didn't know how to do his tie up, but in order to go into house mass, they had to have their ties on. So immediately 2 other guys leapt and started. One was doing up the top button, half choking him. One was prepping the tie in the background so that everyone felt included. I just happened to see them at the time and thought that's too good for me not to try and publicise that those little things can make a difference. The image in the middle comes from exactly the same mass, would you believe it, where one student had had training in the morning, maybe refused or didn't have breakfast, and immediately went into mass where he sat inside, he sung, he stood, he kneeled, he sat, and his head started to just get a little bit heavy. And I remember sitting at the back of that mass, and one of his friends who was sitting next to him came to me and said, "Sir, Johnny's starting to feel a bit ill. He thinks he needs to leave the chapel." I thought to myself, in 20 years, this is a good excuse to get out of mass, so we'll roll with this. So I went up to John, I said, "Let's go." And no sooner had we got outside the chapel that he didn't faint is too strong a word, but he lost all sense of strength in his legs and completely disorientated. I managed to get him sat down against the pillar, and immediately 3 other boys had emerged from mass. Again, phenomenal excuse to get out and said, "Sir, how can we help?" I said, "Can one of you duck over to the health centre right now and see if you can get one of the nurses?" And only a matter of moments later, Glenda emerged and said, "What can I do? Let me take over. How can I help?" That culture of kindness, to put your sons first and to put one another first, is very much that idea of justice and solidarity. And the image you can see right on the end there is one of those macro service. That's the Tuesday morning breakfast that I was alluding to. And I love this picture in that you can see there's 4 strapping Year 11 boys in that image. So they are next year's seniors who your sons will be guided by. But the smaller fellow in the cap there is my son. And I said to him as a Year 9 boy, come and get involved. And to have those Year 11 boys put their arm around him and say, "Come on, this is what we do, this is how we roll," is the quintessential example of what Nudgee justice and solidarity looks like. So, ladies and gentlemen, those 4 touchstones, gospel spirituality, inclusive community, liberating education, and justice and solidarity, should be prevalent in every one of our 55 Edmund Rice schools. But I am that confident that at Nudgee your son will see and experience them every day that I chose to bring my own boy here. So I very much look forward to learning and walking the Nudgee journey with you all, and very much look forward to working with you over these next few years. It's my great privilege to now introduce to you our Dean of Learning and Teaching, Mrs. Susie Chin, who will talk to you about all things subject offerings for Year 5 and Year 7. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. And the first order of events is that I need to ask Tara to change the order next year because I never want to follow Matt Waugh ever again, please. That's a hard act to follow. I'm here today to talk to you about all things learning and teaching. And as Matt, I am also heavily invested in the college in a number of ways. And the way I refer to myself most recently is recycled, because I was actually here at Nudgee College for 8 years, about 9 years ago. And then at the start of last year, I came back because here's your warning number 1. Once you are connected to the college, you never leave. It's a good thing, I promise you. But today I want to talk to you about all things learning and teaching. So as you know, our why and your why are your boys. So everything we do in the learning and teaching space is about your boy and about us coming together as a community to make him better every single day. So I will hand on heart say, actually, there's a kid in one of those pictures that happens to be mine who didn't quite get the uniform correct. The socks are up, but the hat's off. But that's okay, your son will learn. It's likely on that day he'd lost his hat. That's quite regular. Be used to it, and you're welcome for the embroidery on the back of the hat because it will often rebound to you. The other picture we have there is of Patrick Kennedy, who was our College Ducks in 2023. And I purposefully put that up because while PK worked very hard that year to become our College Ducks, it was the community that got him there. It was his family members that helped him to sacrifice along the way. It was his teachers and his mates that stood beside him along that journey. And so that's the journey you're about to embark on with us at Nudgee College. So we know that you're investing in us as a college. You're not here because you're part of a catchment zone. You've made a purposeful choice. And we acknowledge that by investing really heavily in our purposeful practice at this college. So our aim is that your son comes away from the college a little bit better every single day. And part of that is what we're calling our classroom culture. So we've got a lot of research going on behind the scenes at the college around the science of learning and cognitive load theory. And we're looking really strongly at the routines that support your boys to learn in the most efficient way, because let's be honest, efficiency is key when you're dealing with adolescent men. So when your son lands here, he will be drilled and skilled around specific ways to enter the classroom. He will likely have seating plans in his classroom, and that's very purposeful. That's so that your son is seated in a way that he doesn't have to worry about who he's going to sit next to. Am I going to be the kid who's sitting by myself? All of those things are taken out of that thought process so that he can focus on his learning. We also have some fairly strict processes in the classroom to make sure that the learning environments aren't distracting for our boys. Now, as I mentioned, I have a son. He's currently in Year 7. Distraction is the biggest thing that we deal with. Shiny things, full moons, a little bit of wind, let alone the people next to you. So part of our practice is to make sure that our boys are kept engaged every minute of their lesson, because every minute counts. But I'm about to give you some practical tips here. Now, my husband would say that practicality is not my strong point, so I'll go a bit off brand and see how we go. But between now and your son landing, you're probably wondering how you can help to prepare him for day one. And the student formation team will talk to you around making friendships and all of those sorts of things. But I want to talk to you about how to make sure that day one doesn't feel like he's landed on Mars. So I need you to know that we are a Google school. That may be something different for your son. If your son's arriving here in Year 5, it's possible he's come from a school with no devices. He may have come from an iPad school. He may have come from a Microsoft school. We have around, and somebody will correct me after this, but we have around 52 feeder schools that feed into Nudgee. So we're very aware that our boys don't necessarily know the Google environment. However, if between now and the start of next year, you feel comfortable setting up a private Gmail for your son and dabbling in some of the Google products, that may just help him to feel a little more comfortable on day one. Because it is a little different in that you share documents instead of attach documents. You have a Google Drive. You don't have to press save in Google because everything's online. But we will certainly send you out more information about how to do that closer to the time, because you're going to leave here and forget everything that I said, and that's totally normal. We use Google Calendar to set homework. So your son won't have a physical diary. It will all be online. And our boys, my boy in particular, is very good at telling you he has no homework. Yeah. And you will receive a letter home when they don't submit homework, and I would know because I was the parent who received that email. That was very fun that day. But please, I just ask that in the early days, when he says he has no homework, hop onto his Google Calendar and just help him check that. It could be that he has forgotten. Maybe. My son's memory is like a sieve. We also distribute learning materials through the Google platform. So you'll start to hear your son use Google terms like Google Drive, Google Classroom, Google Sites. You don't need to worry. We will upskill him in all of those things. And I must admit, when my son first landed here, I felt like I was about 75 years old because I didn't know any of those terms. But you will become very familiar with them over the course of your son's education here. We're also a mixed medium school. So I mentioned before, distractions. Laptop screens are more often a distraction than they are a help. So our teachers are very conscious in when they use their laptops versus when they use pen and paper. So please, when you get your book list, I know at some schools you get a book list, you buy all of those beautiful exercise books, you buy 9 of them, and then at the end of the year your son comes home with 9 blank books that he never used throughout the year. He will use them here, because we only open our laptops if they're going to actually deepen the learning. Otherwise, there's plenty of games that our boys work out how to use on their laptops, and we try to minimise the opportunity for them to access those things. If your son's coming here and he's not familiar with a device, my top tip for today, apart from the hat thing with the embroidery, is typing club. So if he's never had to type anything before in his life, and I will admit, I won't tell you my age, but I type like a T-Rex, it's awful. I would suggest that you log on to, well, you don't even need to log on, you search Typing Club. It's a free platform, does not even require a login. And it's just fun games that help your son to become familiar with typing. And that will just be one less thing that he needs to think about when he starts here at Nudgee. As a parent, you're going to be bombarded with information between now and the start of the year, but then also throughout the year. There's a lot going on at Nudgee. The parent lounge is really important, as is our assessment calendar. So our assessment calendar will always be provided to you within the first 4 weeks of a term, usually via email. You'll also be pinged via the app, and it gets housed on the parent lounge. There you go, we're bombarding you from 3 angles, just in case you prefer one medium over the other. I highly recommend you print that and pop that on your fridge, because again, my son would tell me he has no assessment next week, and I know that that is not correct. Godspeed for his maths result. Parenting 101, I'm really killing it. But Parent Lounge will be your friend. So on that Parent Lounge, you will also be able to access all of your son's tasks, assessment tasks, all of the unit outlines. So if you want to know what it is he's about to learn in that term for any given subject, it's on the Parent Lounge. If you want to know what result he got in any given subject, it's on the Parent Lounge. Because my son's memory is like a sieve, apparently gets an A for everything, and the Parent Lounge tells me that's not correct. So Parent Lounge is your friend. My final tips are actually about being a Nudgee parent, but it is to do with the learning. I recommend that you label everything. That includes the laptop. That is the last thing you want lost, is that laptop, because that is an investment in and of itself. I'd also recommend that when you're purchasing those exercise books, that they're all labelled and colour-coded, because particularly our younger boys, Year 5 and Year 7 entry, if they're using a locker or their bag, the amount of times they go into their bag and grab a book and run to class and realise that says social science and I'm in maths. So colour coding and naming will be key. And God forbid they lose the book with all their notes in it. So label, label, label everything. There is no such thing as no homework. So if your son says he does not have homework, he will have some form of revision. And particularly our Year 7 students, we're going to guide them through a very purposeful program around studying and revision so that they're set up for the future. But there's always something they could be revising. And then my last tip is to let him fall. If he comes to school and you realise he had homework and he's left it at home, you don't need to bring it in. His world won't end. It'll feel like it's ended for that day, but I promise you, he won't do it again. Much. Maybe once or twice, depends how quick a learner they are. Please, label everything, let them fall. They will be fine. That's part of our job. We will support them. So, speaking of support, over the next few years, if you ever have a concern, please reach out to us. If it's an academic concern, straight to the classroom teacher. All of their details are on the parent lounge. If you have a pastoral or a wellbeing concern, and I'm about to hand over to the student formation team, then straight to their house dean is your best bet, or the pastoral care tutor. But the key message there is that if we don't know about it, we can't help. And we're all here for your son. We just want the best for him. So on that note, it is my pleasure to now introduce to you our Director of Students Years 10 to 12, Mr. Tom Hughes.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Tom Hughes. As Sue said, I'm the Director of Students for Years 10 to 12. I work together with Lindsay, our MC, who you met earlier, Joe, who you'll meet shortly, Joe Barrett, our Director of Students 7 to 9, and our house deans in the SSF team. Our core business in the student formation team is forming, together with yourselves, our young men into young men who are good young men and who are authentic signs of faith. Today is an exciting step for your family as you prepare to officially join our community next year. We know that right now, and as a number of people have already said, you are absolutely being bombarded with information. Please know, again, as other people have said, you don't need to remember all this at once. We're going to walk this journey with you. At the core of our college is the house system. It's so much more than the colour that the boys wear around their PE shirts on sports carnival days and PE. Each boy is placed in a house so that a really large school feels that little bit smaller and you have that community around you. We have a vertical pastoral care system at Nudgee College, which in short means that if you're in grade 5 and 6, you also have 2 Year 12 big brothers. Once you move into the senior school, our pastoral care class in the morning contains, let's say, 3 Year 7s, 3 Year 8s, 3 Year 9s, 10s, 11s and 12s from that one house. So there's the opportunity to mix and connect with boys from a variety of year levels. Through your house, or through the house I should say, your son will find familiar faces, build a stronger sense of connection and know exactly where to go for help when he needs it. The same support is there for you as parents as well. Your house dean and PC tutor for your sons will be key people. A steady point of contact, a guide, a connector between school and home on your son's journey, regardless whether he's arriving today in grade 5 or grade 11. As I said, you're getting lots of information thrown at you, and when you have questions, and you absolutely will, your house dean will either be able to answer that question for you, or they'll be able to point you in the direction of someone who can. Alongside them, we have our wonderful, friendly, generous student office staff at both the junior and senior schools, who are often the first face your boy encounters on a given day when he might have lost something or is a little bit confused or is perhaps himself lost on what is a fairly large campus. You can see some photos here just to give you a bit of a preview and put faces to names. Miss Roost in the junior school and Miss Van Werdum, Miss Lay and Miss Patty in the senior school help with everything from getting a message to your son during the day if you need to communicate with him, sorting out late arrivals and early departures, as well as Sue's alluded to, lost property. It's a big job. These are some of the practicalities of starting at Nudgee, but today is an opportunity to confirm what we do here and how we do it. We want boys to learn in the classroom, but we also want to form them into good young men. Young men who know how to problem solve, how to seek advice, how to take responsibility, how to recognise when they've made mistakes, how to apologise, forgive and build resilience. And so on that note, I'd like to welcome Joe Barrett, our Director of 7 to 9, who will tell you a little bit more about how we do that.
Thank you, Tom, and good morning and welcome to everyone. How can you as parents and guardians support us in our efforts to form our students, particularly in our scenario in their high school years. It's worth highlighting today that the college's policy around mobile phones is that we know in this era of technology, and in particular phones, they are present in the boys' life. However, students are not to be on their phones during the school day. This is in the best interest of their learning, engagement, and social and emotional development, and has overwhelming research and evidence supporting this approach. Especially in the early days of term 1, your son may feel uncertain or nervous or unsure of where to go. Please encourage him not to message you, but to seek help here, in the moment, with us. Messaging between parents and boys during the day is often unhelpful. It interrupts learning and works against our policy. If a student is on their phone without permission, staff are likely to respond. Your support in discouraging this and reinforcing consistency at home makes a huge difference. Here at Nudgee, we know, and hopefully you would obviously know, we're in the business of forming young men as signs of faith, our school motto, for almost 135 years. Unapologetically, we have high standards and boundaries, from haircuts to mobile phones to eventually how and when they drive to school. In the way we respond and manage this, we form the boys into the best versions of themselves. And in saying this, it's not all rules and regulation. We genuinely love what we do in formation, and we have so many positive and hope-filled moments every single day here at Nudgee. But in the next phase of their learning and growth, adolescence can be complex, not just for our students, but for the adults around them, parents, guardians, teachers, coaches, tutors, boarding staff. And as we work to meet with their diverse and often changing and sometimes unpredictable needs and wants. To parents, I want to acknowledge that sometimes the story you hear at home, a little bit like the homework, may not always perfectly align with what has actually taken place. Please be open-minded and trust that our experienced staff will always work with fairness and care. Most of all, I do want to reassure you, you're not alone in this. Just as we want the boys to feel a strong network around them, we want you to feel the same. Together we can build independence, belonging and resilience in your sons. We wish you all the very best as you finish up in your current year, and we look forward to officially welcoming you into our community next year. It will be the beginning of a journey that honours the vision of Brother Ambrose Tracy, marked by faith, formation and opportunity. I'd now like to invite to the stage Mr. Sam Smith, our Director of Performing Arts. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's my privilege as Director of Performing Arts to share with you the exciting opportunities within our program. From the rehearsal rooms of Cleary to the Teeny Auditorium stage, from Writers' Circle to Chess Club, every one of our programs is designed to help boys find their voice, discover their talents, and grow into young men who are confident, compassionate, and capable of leadership. Let me give you a sense of what's on offer at Nudgee, as performing arts looks slightly different to what you might think. First, we have our art club. It meets every Wednesday after school, where boys from grade 5 to 12 can paint, draw, design, collaborate, and create projects. It's not only a space to develop artistic skills, but it's also a space where students contribute to set design and prop building for our musical. Chess has a very long tradition here at Nudgee. Coaching is offered by experts and old boys, and our teams compete in inter-school competitions, including the GPS season. Term 3 is chess season, and we're right in the thick of it at the moment. So last night, our boys headed up to Toowoomba Grammar. We had a fantastic night with several team wins, but one thing you need to know as new parents, being a GPS school, you will need to eventually drive to Toowoomba, Ipswich, Southport, multiple times over your journey here at Nudgee. We also have debating. It's one of our strongest programs here at Nudgee from grade 5 to 12. Boys are coached in argument, research, presentation, and they compete in both the GPS season and the Queensland debating competitions. Beyond the classroom, debating helps develop critical thinking, clear communication, and the ability to engage respectfully with different perspectives. Debating is a Term 1 GPS sport, and competition commences early in Term 1. If your son is interested in debating, would love to hear from you today so we can prepare for next year. Oratory is one of the oldest competitions at Nudgee. In fact, it is the oldest. It challenges students to craft and deliver speeches on topics they are passionate about, building their confidence and clarity of thought. This happens every year in Term 3. Esports is one of our newest offerings here at Nudgee and is growing quickly in popularity. Working in teams to play titles such as Rocket League, Mario Kart, and Overwatch, with opportunities to compete in tournaments such as the QUT High Schools Competition and the Fuse Cup. Our esports program is currently shortlisted as a finalist for the Best Esports Program in Australia, and our coordinator, Will Duffield, is nominated as a finalist as a rising star in esports education. It shows the recent success and popularity of our program. Many of the junior school students are involved in esports offerings, and we do that after school and also some lunchtimes during the week. The College Musical is one of our signature events. Held every 2 years in Teeny Auditorium, it brings together hundreds of students from years 5 to 12, alongside of students from St Rita's College and Mary MacKillop College. Whether actors, dancers, musicians, set builders, backstage crew, every student has a chance to play a role. Productions like Grease, High School Musical, The Addams Family, Footloose, and The Wiz have been huge successes in recent years. In Semester 2, 2026, we will audition for our 2027 musical. Nudgee Music is at the heart of our performing arts program. As Ms. Chin said before, every boy begins with an instrument in Grade 5 music in our immersion program, where boys learn a stringed or concert band instrument in classroom music. From there, boys may join many of our ensembles, concert bands, string groups, choirs, guitar ensembles, and contemporary bands. These groups perform throughout the year and represent the college at festivals like the Queensland Catholic Schools Music Festival, where they consistently achieve excellent results, including multiple gold awards from our junior school program. Private tuition is available across all instruments and voices taught by professional musicians. If your son is already learning an instrument, we are happy to work with you and support him with his journey with private lessons here at Nudgee. Technical production crew is for those who prefer to be behind the curtain. Students receive hands-on training and in lighting, sound, video production, and stage management, supporting college events throughout the year. Theatre sports is one of our most energetic activities. Students work in teams to improvise scenes on the spot in a fast-paced competition, developing creativity, spontaneity, and teamwork. This year, as you can see on the screen, we have our junior team and our senior team. Both groups are through to the state finals of the theatre sports competition and will represent Nudgee to take out the title, which incidentally we won last year, so hopefully we keep it. We also have a program called Writer's Circle that brings together boys who love words. They workshop stories, publish their work, take part in festivals like the Brisbane Writers' Festival, and they even produce their own podcast. Many junior school students are involved in this program, which meets every Monday after school in the college library. At Nudgee, we know boys thrive when they're given the opportunity to express themselves holistically, not only on the sports field or in the classroom, but also through music, theatre, debating, chess, and art. The performing arts helps boys develop emotional intelligence to recognise, express, and manage their feelings. They teach confidence without arrogance. A boy who can stand up and sing, act, and debate in front of an audience learns courage, self-belief, and humility. They build discipline and perseverance. Mastering an instrument or preparing a performance requires patience, practice, and resilience. They encourage collaboration and teamwork, as success only comes when everyone supports each other and works together as a team. And importantly, arts reminds boys that creativity and empathy are strengths, not weaknesses. As you can see, the performing arts at Nudgee span from the stage to the studio, from the rehearsal room to the writer's desk, from the chessboard to the sound desk. Whether your son's a musician, a debater, a designer, a gamer, a speaker, an actor, or simply curious to try something new, there is a place for him here. Parents, by encouraging your son to get involved, you are giving them an opportunity to build confidence, resilience, and friendships that will last a lifetime. If you have any questions about the performing arts, please see myself or one of our staff at the table at the back of the room. There you'll find a Google form where you can scan and sign up to be involved in any activities for next year. Finally, parents, if you're looking to be involved in the arts community at Nudgee, I'd encourage you to consider joining our wonderful Nudgee College Arts Committee. It's a dedicated group of Nudgee parents who work together to put on activities such as our Arts Gala and support the arts in many ways possible, such as fundraising for our cultural tour we did this year to London and Paris. It's a great place for new parents to connect with other families at Nudgee and support their boys at the same time. Thank you.
Just move that down. Okay. I would like to do a couple of thank yous, but I'm very conscious of the fact that it would probably take me about 10 minutes to thank everyone that has been involved in this morning, and I realise that I stand between you and a cup of tea. So I will just do a quick shout out to our property team and our catering team. So our property team have set up all of the spaces that are being used this morning for our orientation day. And obviously our catering team, you're about to enjoy their fantastic work as well. But probably a big thank you needs to go to the admissions team, led really well by Tara Shipley, who I know that many of you have probably had communications with Tara and her team in Michelle, Tanya and Karen. So if we could just give the admissions team plus all of the people that have been involved in this morning a round of applause, that would be fantastic. So from here, we will have some morning tea, which is at the back of the room. And then you have that opportunity while you're enjoying your cup of tea or coffee to visit the different specialist areas. So we have transport, the locker room for all things uniform. All of the activities there are co-curricular with performing arts. There is a learning and teaching section with our inclusive learning department as well. So there is lots of information. If you feel like you haven't had enough already, there's more that you can gain there, so you can have those conversations. IT are there as well, so those questions about bring your own device and network questions and so on, they will be able to answer those for you. I will come back in about 25 minutes and then we will have a selection of our house prefects who will come and collect you, and you will then head off to reconnect with your sons and get an opportunity to meet your son's PC tutor and house dean, and just get a little bit more information about the house system here at Nudgee before then making your way to the grandstand. But I'll talk a little bit more about that after morning tea. So thank you very much for your attention so far this morning, and welcome to Nudgee College.